Alright, so today is one of the most exciting days for me as a ball python breeder. I have a box of eggs in the incubator that are hatching out some baby ball pythons. And I took a quick peek at my boxes and it looks like 2 snakes were completely out of the eggs, which is pretty awesome. So what I want to do today is I'm going to go through that box, we're going to see what's hatched out, and then we're going to cut open the rest of the eggs and see what our odds are from the pairing. And the pairing this time was this snake right here. This is my bamboo ball python male. This is Bobby, and he's the father of this clutch. I actually paired him to a pastel. So, you know, if you figure the statistics of the odds, what we can expect from the pairing, we would expect 25% straight bamboos. This guy is just a straight bamboo, no other genes in the mix. Then we get 25% pastels, 25% pastel bamboos, which is kind of, I guess, the crown jewel of this cross, and then 25% normals. So it's always interesting to see what your odds are at the end of the breeding season. As a matter of fact, I saw someone pair a bamboo to a normal, and you'd expect 50% bamboos. And as a matter of fact, this guy hatched out a whole clutch of bamboos, which is extremely unusual to hit all bamboos. And it could also flip the other way where you get all normals. So you never know what the odds are, but I'd say if you're breeding like hundreds and hundreds of, you know, over all my hundreds and hundreds, the Bobby's kind of choking me out. You know, the more clutches you have and the more hatchlings you have, I think the odds pretty much even out over the long haul. You get little kind of anomalies here and there where you can have a whole clutch of normals or a whole clutch of bamboos, but I think overall it averages out to 50-50, and that is kind of what you see. Sometimes you can hit the odds really good, so I'm hoping for a good clutch. Let's check out those eggs. Alright, so here we go. Let's take a look at this. This has actually been in the incubator for 2 months. Actually, the hatch date is tomorrow, so we're 1 day early, but it looks like, you know, some of the eggs are actually coming out, so we'll take a look. And I can already see one kind of with his head poking out there, maybe a couple with their head poking out. Let's take a look at what we got. Wow, I got multiple heads poking out. That is pretty cool. And it looks like, what do we have? What do we have? This one, let's see, this is really interesting. Take a look at this one. I would say this one is definitely a pastel bamboo. That is a good looking snake. And usually the pastel kind of gives them a lighter head. That's kind of how you can tell the difference. And this one, let's take a look at this one here. Wow, these guys are fresh out of the egg. That's pretty crazy. This one, it's really hard to tell. You know, I kind of struggle with these bamboos because I can't really tell which one is pastel and which one is not pastel. And I would almost say these are probably, I'd say almost both of these might have pastel in them. These look like both pastel bamboos. This one looks a little bit lighter here, but this one still has a pretty light head. It is really tough to tell at this age, and definitely when they get older, you can definitely tell if they have pastel or not. So I would say some of these other ones, this one here, you can almost tell on this one. This is definitely just a normal on this guy, I would think. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll cut him open a little bit and we'll take a look and we'll get a little bit better look cutting him open just a little. All right, let's do a little operation here. What I just use is regular scissors. I know some people use razor blades or really fine scissors. I like the big ones because they're not so sharp and you don't really risk cutting anything that you're not supposed to cut that you don't want to cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snip this open just a little bit so we can see inside. Oh wow, this one, I thought this was a normal for sure. This looks, to me, well, I would say this looks like a pastel. It looks like a pastel now, if you can see that. So you can kind of see, usually on the pastel it's a little bit yellower and the pattern is a little bit more broken up and there's not really alien heads up on the sides. I would say this one's a pastel. So let's take a look at the next one here. It sure is hard to tell just from the head. Let's see here. Wow, this one. This one looks like a pastel too. That's interesting. Looks like we might have two pastels there. And a lot of times it's really hard until they completely come out, and really I don't want to cut them out and get them out of the egg. They have to pretty much stay in the egg until they are ready. And if I cut a little hole and I don't want them to come out, I want them to stay in the egg. Let's see if I can get this here. Boy, this one, that looks like a pastel too. I think I got 3 pastels. What are the odds of that? Getting 3 in a row of the 25% odds. That's kind of odd. All right, and 2 pastel bamboos, which is good. No straight bamboos so far. So let's take a look at this egg. This egg isn't even out yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of switch this. This is getting kind of messy over here. Let me get a new piece of paper towel. We'll do a quick little opening of this one. I can't believe it. You don't believe this one. No way. I can't believe it. It's another pastel. 4 pastels. What are the odds of 4 pastels in a row? Oh my goodness. That is unbelievable. This one can't be a pastel. 5 in a row, no way. The odds are too incredible. If this one's a pastel, I want to go buy a lottery ticket. That's unbelievable. All right, let's take a look at this one. Can't be. That's impossible. No way. That's impossible. You're not going to believe it. The 5th pastel. That'd be a good name for a video game. The 5th pastel. Oh my goodness. 5 pastels and 2 pastel bamboos. That is unbelievable. All right, so those were unbelievable odds. I can't even believe it. That was pretty crazy. So what I want to do is I want to set up the 2 that are out in these ARS tubs. This is an ARS 1039, so there's 39 tubs in my rack. This is about how thick they are. I use this coconut husk chip. This is actually Pro Cocoa. It is completely dried out, so I don't have to wet it. And this was actually, I was actually using it for hatchlings earlier this year, some of the earlier hatchlings that I sold already. And what I do is I just use this little watering can and water it down and fill up the water just like this. And I'm going to put the hatchling right over in here. And essentially what I'm going to do is, I'm not even going to tell the males and the females apart. What I want to do is probably wait maybe 2 to 3 weeks before I figure it out. I've actually probed hatchlings that are this young pretty much right out of the egg, and let me tell you, it is not accurate at all. You really have to wait, until they mature a little bit. Even if they don't eat a meal in like 2 or 3 weeks, it still seems like it takes that long, and then you probe them and they're fine. But for some reason, I just can't get the hatchlings to probe very well. This one's got quite a bit of pattern reduction on the side, which is pretty non-typical for a pastel. I'm starting to wonder if this is a pastel. I don't know, it's really hard to tell, especially if I don't have a straight bamboo. I would almost say that this one over here, this one right here, could be a straight bamboo, and this one could be a pastel. There's a slight difference in the head coloration, I think. It is really hard to tell. So what I'll probably do is I'll label them as pastel bamboos, and as they mature a little bit, you'll definitely be able to see, you know, one from the other, especially once I start hatching more bamboo stuff out and you compare it side by side. And that's really what we need, is a straight bamboo. I'm almost 100% sure that both of these are pastel bamboos. I'm not sure if one's just a straight bamboo or not, so they can kind of trick you a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna set them right in the tub here. I have a little 90-degree hot spot in the back, and I'll put them up in my hatchling rack. All right, so I put those hatchlings over here in my ARS 1039 rack. This holds 39 hatchlings. This is actually one of the hybrid racks from ARS. It has the, you know, the plastic, and it all kind of snaps together, versus these heavy-duty racks over here. This rack right here probably weighs about 1,000 pounds. It's so heavy. It's all welded together, and this has a lot of plastic in it. It's significantly lighter, and it's lighter to ship. It's cheaper overall, which is a pretty cool thing. So I put those pastel bamboos up here. I'm 99% sure they have the pastel in them, and I don't know if they're male or female. And this is kind of how I have them set up over here. This rack is really awesome. I really like these ARS racks. And it'll keep them for, you know, typically I don't even mess with them until they shed out for the first time. And then after they shed, you usually wait a few days before you offer the first meal. And the first meal has to be a live mouse crawler. They won't eat anything else except live mice. So they'll just kind of hang out in here until I feed them their first meals. And you can see I have some other ones here. This one actually ate 2 meals. It's a female fire. This is the fire gene, a really cool snake. I love these fires. These are the first fires I hatched out, and look at how bright that fire is getting. It almost looks like a pastel. It is really intense. That is pretty incredible. And if you compare that to a normal, so this normal ate 2 meals and shed out. This is what just a wild type normal ball python looks like. There's definitely a difference between the normals and the fires. And I actually have a male and a female fire, 100% het pieds, so I'm almost tempted to hang on to those, because you could get super fires if you bred them together. You could get pieds, and you could get fire pieds. It'd be a really powerful breeder. All right, so unbelievable odds in that clutch. Not really what I would have preferred, only 2 pastel bamboos. Really what I was looking for is a lot more just straight bamboos. There's been a lot of people asking, you know, for something exactly like Bobby here, and unfortunately in this clutch, we didn't hit a single one out of 7 eggs and 5 pastels. What are the odds of that? So what I'm gonna do is I actually put the eggs back in the incubator. I'm gonna wait till those snakes come out. Probably about a week from now, when those snakes come out, we'll set them up in the hatchling rack, and then we'll go through and probe them all, figure out the males and the females. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.